This is the new Dragontail. This thing is super cool. There's not really much else like this on the market. I've been fishing, you know, a long time, and I've seen all kinds of different lures, and this thing is unique. I mean, it fishes similar to like a fluke, where you twitch it. But I mean, you could rig this up a bunch of different ways. I'm super new to this bait, so I'm only, you know, throwing it this way, but it works really good. Sam, behind the camera here, caught an 8-pounder on this dang thing earlier today. It was huge. He threw it out there and like twitched it a couple times, and this giant fish came up and slurped this thing down. So clearly it catches giant fish. We've been catching other fish on it too. Super cool to see a giant one eat it like that. This is a really neat bait though. I mean, I'm like amazed at the ribbing on this. It's a real aggressive ribbing. It goes all the way down to the tail. Up here by the hook, it's a little bit less aggressive, so it gives you a little bit of a thicker body to rig through, and it's got a nice hook slot. So a lot of the times, you know, with a plastic, you'd have to expose, where you kind of back the hook or back the plastic up and, you know, poke the hook point in it. With this, literally, like, you can just kind of push up on the plastic and it'll hide that hook point, and so you're not hanging up on grass, and it goes through stuff like amazingly well with that little slot. And then when the fish bites down, it just like collapses out of the way, and boom, there's your hook. This is the 6-inch size. This is going to be your best friend for bass fishing. But if you're like super into the big baits, you know, Savage Gear makes all kinds of big swim baits, and if that's your thing, if you like throwing the 8-9-inch swim baits, you know, the big pulse tails and everything else, you're gonna have to check out this guy. That is the 8-inch. Look at the difference in size. Makes that one look like a baby. That thing's a giant. This is rigged up on a 10-aught weighted hook. When you speed this thing up on this rigging, that tail goes crazy because it comes down to a super narrow taper on there. Points out right here, and that when you reel it, it actually swims almost behind the back of the bait. And then when you pause it, it has a nice slow fall on this hook, and then you can dart it and it kind of kicks out to the side, has a nice lifelike action. Looks like a dying minnow or something that's kind of falling out to the bottom and settling. Really neat bait. Dragontail, you know, check them out. This is the 6-inch one. Like I said, if you're into the big stuff, try that massive 8-inch Dragontail. That thing's crazy. I'm gonna have to try that and catch some big fish on it. I'm sure they'll bite it. You know, when these big fish are real aggressive in the springtime or the summertime, that's gonna be a player for sure.